The February 3rd work session for the Rutherford County School Board. We'll be opening the meeting with a brief moment of silence or prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. No one is required to participate or be present for any of these, and being in this portion of the meeting is completely voluntary. Tonight, this week, we have Caleb Tidwell in charge of the prayer and the pledge.
Thank you. Let's bow our heads. Father, we're so thankful to be able to be here. I pray, Father, that you give us wisdom tonight, that you help us as we are trying to debate and look over different decisions for this county, that you help us to do the things that are in the best interest of the students that we serve. We thank you, Lord, for helping us get out of this winter season, and we ask, Lord, that you would just give us guidance as we move into this new year, that we'd continue to keep our focus in the right places. Be with us this evening. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's stand, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, we have the approval of the agenda. You want to take a look at that? Any changes or anything? Questions? It's a fairly light agenda.
Yes.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Any questions there? Okay. There is no public comment. And we'll go right to Rutherford Proud.
Be Thursday.
Thursday? Okay. And then Human Resources.
Yeah, this is our annual signing bonus, and so for this year, we are proposing 6 through 12 math, English, chemistry, physics, world language, and special education. $4,000 signing bonus to be paid twice, so $2,000 in the spring, $2,000 in the fall, or fall then spring, sorry, I had it backwards. Continuing with our student teachers, if they student teach with us and then continue and move with us to sign a contract, they would get into $1,500. So that money would be on top of if they were an additional hard-to-fill area above, so they could at that point be at $5,500. And then our retirees, a little bit of a change, it'd be a one-time bonus in a hard-to-staff area, because we appreciate our retirees, but we were having some retirees who year after year after year were that bonus. And so kind of making sure that that bonus is the way it's intended for somebody to come back one time and get that bonus, instead of retiring each time and being able to do that. And so that could have been, you could retire. And during COVID, we were really, really struggling for teachers. We're in a lot better shape than we were at then. And so that's what our recommendation is this year. Dr. Anthony, anything that I missed? Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Dr. Sullivan, for the benefit of our new members, would you tell us again the hard-to-staff areas?
Yeah, they were math, English, chemistry, physics, world language, and special education. We have removed ESL this year.
It's not based on location.
No, it's not based, just the subject areas. Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, next we have legal.
This is transfer student under discipline number 1. The board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. The student was expelled for possession of drugs. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system while under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools recommendations to deny.
Next.
Then we have a student under discipline 2. Board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. The student was expelled for possession of a weapon and possession of a dangerous object. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system while under suspension or expulsion, and the Director of Schools recommendations to deny.
Okay. Next we go to instruction.
This is the textbook adoption committee request. This year is Schedule E, Career and Technical Education Textbook Adoption Committee. The purpose of this committee is to review instructional materials and make recommendations for the adoption of Schedule E, Career and Technical Education textbooks and resources in accordance with Rutherford County Schools procedure and state requirements. You see the committee members, proposed educator members, Isaac Haley, Travis Sutton, Jason Bowers, Leonard Saletti, Amanda Jones, Richard Beard, Parent Representative Mac Jones, and Industry Representative Brian Patton. Upon approval of this list above, the committee will begin the review process and move forward with the CTE textbook adoption in alignment with both state and district guidelines and timelines, and I believe right now it's just advanced manufacturing and IT. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Is that good? Okay.
Any comments or questions? All right, we'll move on to number 2.
Then number 2, 2627 special courses request. The instruction department's requesting permission to make an application to offer credit for special courses under the following guidelines. Rule 0520-1-3-.05-2A. Local school systems may offer special courses not listed in that .06 on an experimental basis. Commissioner of Education must approve each course in advance each year. Rutherford County High Schools are requesting approval for the following special course requests: new courses, advanced grammar, fine arts appreciation, survey of advanced math topics. Courses for renewal, intro to linguistics, Y01HB2. Infectious diseases, Y03H32. That one is always funny for me because the first time that we did that one was about 2 weeks before we closed for COVID, because I remember reading it sitting in Dr. Chastain's chair. And so that one, anytime it comes back up, is weird for me to read.
Quite ironic, yeah.
Intro to microbiology, Y03H31, neuroscience and society, Y04H88, and then sports psychology, Y04HA9.
Okay, any comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Do we have participation in these? What's that look like?
I can give you the schools where they're currently offered as far as the renewals. So emerging infectious disease is currently offered at Central. And these are all serve as electives, just to clarify, they're not part of our state required courses. Intro to linguistics is offered at Central, originally approved in 2021. Intro to microbiology, Riverdale and Stewart's Creek, originally approved in 2021. Neuroscience and society, offered at Central and Siegel, 2021. Sports psychology, offered at Blackman, Central, Riverdale, Siegel, and Smyrna.
Awesome. I mean, I think it's interesting. I was just curious.
And once these get approved at the state level, any of our schools can utilize these courses and course codes at any point once approved.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to financial matters.
Wilson Bank, Riverdale High School, and Riverdale Baseball Booster Club Agreement. Riverdale High and Riverdale Baseball Booster Clubs in partnership with Wilson Bank to provide and maintain a video scoreboard and signage.
Number 11.
Engineering and construction, Eagleville baseball fence request. Principal Tim Pettigo is requesting to utilize baseball account funds to replace the fence at the baseball field. This project is requested and not to exceed $18,000, is at no cost to the board. Engineering and construction has reviewed the request and has no objections. I'd also like to add, I had an email from TWSAA. They're requesting some additions as well. That's usually a host site for us for high school spring fling, so part of this is needed for that as well.
Okay. Next.
Smyrna High ROTC obstacle course request. Dr. Sherry Sutherland is requesting to install a ROTC obstacle course to be funded by CTE. The project will be funded through CTE funds. It is not expected to exceed $4,000. Engineering and construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Number 3.
Whitworth Buchanan scoreboard relocation request. Principal Chris Butner is requesting to be allowed to receive the existing baseball scoreboard from Siegel High School to replace the one currently on campus. Anticipate cost to replace the existing support structure. The project will be funded through baseball funds and is not expected to exceed $3,000. Engineering and construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Okay. Next.
Smyrna Primary School soccer goal request. Dr. Amy Perry is requested to purchase permanent soccer goals for Smyrna Primary utilizing fundraiser funds. The cost for this request is $6,757.08. Engineering and construction reviewed the request and has no objection.
Okay, that was quick.
That was quick.
Financial updates.
A couple quick things are we delayed our principal budget request a week since we were out for a week. So looking through kind of our priorities, just kind of starting from scratch, what have been our priorities the last couple years have been the staffing with our COLA increase, we've done a 2.5% the last 2 years. I don't know that 2.5% is attainable. That's what I always try to shoot for, but I'll go over a little bit kind of where we are right now. But a COLA increase, and if any board members have any other priorities, please let me know, because these are y'all's priorities of what we need to try to address. But a COLA increase was one that I wrote, new school being part of that board priority, and then continuing to make sure we keep Fund 177, because that is always something that is always on the table. If you guys figured we could talk more about it Thursday, because those are things that we need to start prioritizing. Principals have to have their budgets by Friday. Our departments are working on those, but I need to start building in what board priorities we have as well. And talking about the budget process, there are TISA coding changes that we have talked about. And so we are down in our economically disadvantaged students. We have lost about 0.5% of enrollment. And so that impacts you. And so with that, I don't know how much extra TISA funding there will be this year compared to last year. So we're looking internally to make sure that we right-size positions, all those different types of things to be able to get to 2 or 2.5% COLA increase. So we're very, very early in our budget process, but that's where Brian and I are kind of shooting for right now without doing really any real numbers. But the TISA coding change is different. The other part of that is the governor, of course, had State of the State yesterday. Beginning, we need to go and see what the increase to TISA is, because that's a huge portion of the budget as well. Whatever the TISA increase is in the governor's budget and what the General Assembly passes is usually what we try to get to with our budget as well. And so that'll be whatever the General Assembly passes will be a big portion of the extra, I hate to say extra revenue, but that's the extra revenue we usually get every year, is whatever the increase is to TISA. So that'll be our next big portion. Any discussion on budget priorities, anything? Yeah. 2 to 2.5. Yep. Listening to other directors, we're kind of all in the same boat. Some are looking at 0 or 1. We're a little bit better than that from what I'm looking at, but not a whole lot better.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Rosales.
Dr. Sullivan?
Yep.
Okay, so one thing I've noticed with the increase of COLA, when we do try to give those increases to the teachers, well, all of our employees, it seems like some of that is being eaten up by the increase of insurance. So if it seems like the money is going to be really tight this year as far as what we are able to increase, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do the insurance, because looking at it right now, there's a big question mark of how that's going to be funded and paid for.
I always remind, because that's something we have I have a teacher advisory committee I meet with every month or every other month, depending on it hits. And that's a question that we have a lot is my insurance went up and my insurance went up 6 or 7% and my COLA increase was only 2.5. And so we go through every time that your COLA increase is over. Yes, they get pretty close some years, but your COLA increase is over your entire amount, and the 6 or 7% is only over what the insurance amount is. And so 2.5 goes further because it's over a bigger dollar amount than the 6 or 7 is. But it does, some years get pretty close. Depending on, each situation is a little different because it depends on which plan, how much coverage each person, like an individual, we cover a lot more than we do with family.
Yeah, and it could be, we could be facing that this year.
Yeah, because I haven't heard anything yet on insurance rates. Yeah. Being under the state plan, haven't heard anything.
Okay. Mr. Tidwell.
Did you say overall enrollment is down 0.0?
0.5.
0.5%?
0.5. Yeah, let me pull. And this is just so that everyone knows. We have moved to, and Kelly, Dr. Chastain, I always get it wrong. Which one's Sword and which one's Ted's? Okay. Okay, so SWORD is what used to be EIS, what we talked about. That is the state's new program, I guess, or software. So we upload Skyward into that every day or every night. That had a lot of issues at the beginning of the year with the state, and so we are still getting credit to go back and make changes. And our team is, I mentioned it at the last board meeting, they are doing phenomenal going back and getting that credit So we've gone up about 200 students from November till now in getting credit for students. So that number, I believe in December, we were down 0.76 or 0.81, and now it's 0.5. So it's increasing as we clean our data up. But I think we all knew that we would be down in kindergarten. The other thing that we are talking about is our juniors, that we had 200 juniors. We had 200 juniors that are graduating early. And so seniors, you still get funded for your seniors with early grads, 700, 900. We had 900 seniors that graduated early in December. And so we will still get funded for those students for the rest of the calendar year. Your juniors, you're going to lose funding for them for an entire year. You won't need as many teaching positions theoretically, but you are losing funding for those students. At 200 students, you're looking at 11,000 a kid. You're looking at a couple $1 million that you're then having to look at budget-wise a little differently. And so that was a unintended, we knew that would be a consequence of going to the 4x4, but we internally are looking at things. We're sending some 16, 17-year-olds, and we need that may or may not be really ready for the real world. And as soon as they take a semester off from high school thinking I'm going to go hit the workforce, if they take that semester off, they're not eligible for some of their scholarships anymore. And so we've got to do a good job of educating parents to say, yes, your kid may be ready, and earn the credits, but if they don't have a plan, why are they rushing to get out of high school? Mm-hmm. And so we did that so that they could get more opportunities in school, not necessarily to get out of school earlier. So we've got to do a bigger communication blitz with our teams and our schools to make sure we're communicating that better.
And those juniors are obviously across many different schools. So you say we could save a teacher position, but it really just kind of depends.
Not many, yeah. 200 across 9, 10 schools, really, 8 comprehensive, at a class load of 25 to 30, maybe 3 or 4, so not.
Yeah, I mean, the maintenance on the building's the same, the custodian needs are the same, so there's a lot of stuff that's.
Yeah.
And the other question was, we're talking about the COLA increase. Are we still going to meet the state standard, the base salary?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we're still on track for that.
We could do a 1% and still there. And then last night in the governor's state of the state, it said 2027. So I always thought it was this year, not next year, but we're on target to get it this year.
Great.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Thank you. Dr. Sullivan, what was our enrollment from May to August? Because I know everybody's going to hear that we're down half a point, and they're going to be, oh, we don't have to build any more schools.
Yeah. So
You know that's what's coming. Y'all know that's what's coming.
As of
Y'all know
right,
that's what's coming.
this is January 23rd. So what we were funded on was 51,589 last year. And again, we are still cleaning this data up. Right now, we're at 51,200. That may be the December one. Hold on.
But you did say we gained
We're gaining, yes, we're
students
cleaning
since
that.
November, yeah.
We're cleaning that data up still.
And most of these students are older
Correct.
that work, yeah, okay.
Yeah, for example, from December, we were at 51,056. So we added or verified 146 new students since December. And so to say that these numbers are true when the state switches, just like when we switched, when we went from now to Skyward, it takes time to get your data correct. And if a student is enrolled in, let's just say Wilson County, and then they come and enroll with us, if their dates overlap by 1 day, then it's an error for both districts, and neither district gets credit for that student. So we have to work with multiple districts to make sure every single kid is correct. And so that's just, 144 kids, 144 kids that we have corrected from December to January. So.
You raised a question just then. So in my mind, mathematically, how does this work? Are we paid by the day, by the student, or
Correct.
by the month, or by the week? It's by the day,
Everything,
by
yep.
the student.
Yep.
Right?
Because it comes out to an average, yeah, like technically the number of kids that we had, if 51,200.08.
Okay. By the day, by the student.
Yep.
So that verifies funding.
Yep.
Wow.
But,
You got a tough job.
but just so everyone knows, because this is a question, I haven't seen it in a couple years. Snow days do not matter. we get funded regardless if we take snow days or not. And so that does not matter. I haven't seen that question in a couple of years. People always say, well, they have to go to school because of, if they don't go to school, they won't get funded. That has absolutely nothing to do with it whatsoever. Snow days are built in, so that does not impact us.
Well, I've had to explain to some people because they also be like, Ms. Sharp, we've heard, oh, you're down. We're down tiny bit, but we're gaining because they don't understand who is in class on August 6th and who is in class January 6th. Could be 300-400 more kids.
Yep.
So, and they're still coming. We'll get some in the spring
Yeah.
from families that have moved here.
Yep. And here's, when I talk about it being down, here's the part where TISA, the weights are going to hurt us. So economically disadvantaged, we were at 8,000 students a couple years ago. Last year was a hold harmless. This year, we've gone from 8,000 to 6,334. And so that's a 25%, is that 25% weight? Does that sound right? And so you're losing, if we were getting $10 million, that's a $2.5 million cut just because of a coding change. That economically disadvantaged coding change, then there's a concentrated poverty that is somewhat connected. That concentrated poverty chain is now down 16%. So it's just a constant, it hits you in every single one of those when you hit. So
you lose that.
yeah.
Lose 200 students, and you lose that, all of a sudden,
It just there, and that economically disadvantage changed, and it's right. It was the right way, and I appreciate the governor making that right last year. He held harmless for years. So we've internally known this was coming. That's why we made some of the decisions we did last year. But when you have economically disadvantaged of a 15-16% drop that also connects to the concentrated poverty, which it should, it makes sense, economically disadvantaged connects to concentrated poverty, then that drops 16%. They just snowball pretty quickly at a district our size. But again, I feel better about this budget than I did last year's.
Do you have any reason for that? Any reason you know of?
Why they changed the coding?
Yeah, it was through Medicaid and COVID. Yeah, it was like federal department, it's a J code.
It's not like 1,800 kids got up and left our
No,
district.
no.
No.
No, and we didn't all of a sudden become richer.
There.
It's just a coding change.
Yeah, they're here. They're just
Yeah.
not counting like they did. Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I had another question about that and about the early graduates. You said that we lose about 200 juniors who graduate early. You said, I think it was 800?
900 seniors.
900 seniors. And they're graduating at the halfway point, like in December. So when we're trying to catch up our ADMs for the students and we're switching over to the system, getting all the numbers right, when they are no longer present, isn't that affecting our numbers on a daily basis as well? Or do they look at that as a whole year?
They are counted for the whole year. All early grads are counted for the entire year.
Juniors and seniors?
Yep.
Okay.
For that year, yes.
All right.
The juniors not next year, but this year, yes.
Right. Okay.
Thank goodness, or we really be in trouble.
And how many juniors do we have that graduated?
209, 205, and then 2 sophomores somehow.
Sophomores?
So, yeah,
What was there? Oh, gosh.
they've got 23 credits.
Have we interviewed some of their families to say why they want to graduate?
Yeah, 'cause there's a
early?
process they have to go
Because
through.
that's very, very early.
is.
Sophomores?
You'd be surprised at some of the credits that these kids come to us with or are able to earn. And sophomores are obviously unique and uniquely talented if they're going to graduate that early. But it is a state law to allow them to move on when ready. So
Yeah.
based on the number of requirements and what we offer, it is a conversation with the counselor and the parent and the student to declare that they're going to graduate early. So that is not necessarily a surprise to us. I think our goal is, one, to make sure we're planning appropriately, which we are, but also making sure that we feel confident that those students know exactly what step they're taking when they leave. So if you're graduating early, what are you doing next? Make sure they're going to college, the military, career, TCAT, that they feel confident that they know exactly what they're doing next. So we're making some strides in that area to make sure that they have appropriate guidance to graduate early, responsibly, I suppose you'd say.
All right, I hear you. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Sharp.
One more. I just forgot what I was going to ask, but I'll come back to it. Sorry,
If you think about it, just let me know.
completely went
Okay.
ahead with something that she said.
we'll move on to,
Directors, I've got a couple of things on directors update. One, I want to thank everyone for their patience last week. Of course, being closed for snow and ice, and prayers for those areas that were hit much harder than we were. I want to thank our maintenance custodians in our central office because we are the largest and furthest north district that was able to open. So much that on Sunday night, there's a Facebook group and a social media group that's Tennessee school closings, and it shows the entire state. And we were the furthest one, and everything else was blue. And it was a lot of districts that normally are not in my text group, very rural districts. And so just to verify again, I called EMS, I talked to the sheriff, I text all the mayors of the towns again, just to make sure, is there anything changed? And just to verify that we're okay. We had a couple bus routes that were impacted, a couple of stops we had to miss, but overall, things went very well yesterday. And so appreciate them being able to get us open, because without them, we would have not been able to open yesterday.
and I learned not to beat up on NES. I did not realize that NES had some parts of Laverne.
They absolutely do.
And I feel terrible. There are still people in Metro Nashville that
Still
have
people in
no
Laverne.
heat,
Yep,
no
not a lot,
power.
but
Yeah.
still some. Yep, there are. We've had some cheer teams get back last week from Orlando, and we have an entire fleet going back to Orlando this week. So we'll have cheer roundup in February or March, where all of our teams go. And then a special thank you to Tommy Hines. He is filling in, not in a extra pay position, but he's filling in for Mike Walls while he is out. And so Tommy is filling in as our maintenance director. And so that was a heck of a week to fill in as an interim maintenance director last week, and because he was called nonstop. So really appreciate Tommy doing that.
Ms. Sharp, you remember it hit you.
Yeah, completely left. Is it too early to talk about third grade retention?
No, never.
We
What would we like to talk about?
You said never.
It is, I'm always willing to talk about third grade retention.
Do you have any preliminary
On how
we're doing?
You know, I think that we have, how many years has this been now? Is this year 4 going into the retention law? We've got a pretty robust system in place in terms of making sure our teachers, one, are teaching the standards as hard as they possibly can with resources that we feel confident in. Our students have support. We do benchmark testing. We do, skills testing to kind of get a gauge on where our students are. I don't see any indicators that we're going to be really far off in any direction from the trend that we've been on. So I don't expect any huge surprises. I think our biggest focus as a district has been to make sure that our students have the support K-2. That's been a big focus. And then if something happens in that third grade year, that they have support moving into fourth grade. That has been our big focus, to make sure that if retention is what the families, what the law and the teachers get behind, that is the best option for that student. And then if we move them forward into fourth grade, that they're getting the supports they need to catch up. So we're just plugging away, and I feel like we're in a good trend, a steady trend, but a positive one.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I was like, we need to talk about third grade retention, and I do feel like the parents, once we had a little bit of that under our belt and everything, that they kind of, settled into it and said, this is really to help our students. So I think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Madam Chair. So in the note, the same vein of thought of third grade. So I will have to say that as a parent, I'm pretty impressed, because my daughter started kindergarten, first grade, and those benchmarks, I know when they're coming and they're happening. I get the communication. I see where she's growing, not growing, where areas she needs improvement, not improvement, plus the communication that we're getting, not just from the benchmarks, but also just what they're being taught week to week. And then when they're getting those progress reports and showing where they are at based on the standards, like you can kind of match it if you want to, if you're keeping it that way. You can match it to see whether your child is at progressing or not progressing. And then if you have concerns as a parent, you can talk to the teacher specifically in those areas, because it's black and white. So you don't have to wait till third grade. If your child is in the system and they started from kindergarten or whatever, you don't have to wait till third grade to know where your child is potentially and where the support is needed. So as a parent, I feel like we're doing the best that we can and giving that communication to the parent so they're not surprised if they're paying attention. So I just want to say that. And I've had conversations with Dr. Martin about it. So what does this mean?
Gotcha. Any other questions? Okay. Any other? Okay. General discussion, anything?
This is the Counselors Appreciation Week, and boy, they're valuable.
Yes, they are.
We need to really appreciate them, so every way you can, just because, boy, they couldn't operate without them.
I agree. Wholeheartedly.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Ms. Rosales.
Well, I wish I had someone that was going to send to me when Counselors Week was going to, because I was going to do something really special for a counselor that did work in our district and then worked in a different district who that passed away recently. And she really, this person was very, meant a lot to me. And so she unfortunately passed away from stage 4 cancer. She only had a 12-month, like, that's how much they told her she was going to live. But anyway, she really loved those kids. I mean, just really loved the kids that she served. And in fact, she didn't want the kids to know that she was going through cancer. And when the kids found out that tragically she had passed away over the Thanksgiving weekend, when they came back, it was very difficult. That school really was impacted by it. And I just want to share that our counselors do a lot. And they've been getting a bad rap for the last few years over so many misinformation that's just been going on. That's not happening in our schools. And my friend, I can attest, was not that I wanted to bring the spiritual side of it, but she was very much a God-fearing woman, and she loved those kids, and she prayed for those kids, and she wanted the very best for those kids, and sometimes she was the only ally for those kids, for those family. So I just want to bring and shed to light and bring some positiveness about this profession, about our counselors, that how much they work and how much they are doing for our kids and how much they're valued and appreciated. So I just want to share that.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales.
But I do wanted to bring something else too.
Okay, go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that I received, I'm sure all of us received a couple of emails from our bus contractors. And I know that money is tight, budget is always tight. But if there's something that we can talk about, I was trying to call you, Dr. Sullivan, but you were not, you had a very busy day, which is understandable. I told her I was going to bring it up for discussion. I don't know what the answer is, but we did get some emails from some bus catchers that they're concerns about safety in light of things that have happened this past week. So Patty's not here to talk about it or bring recommendations or what, but at least I wanted to open that door and have a conversation around that if we can.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales. Mr. Tidwell?
I just had that written down here as well, so I appreciate that being brought up. I don't know if that needs to be an executive session, something, or what that looks like, considering the relationship that the Board of Education has with contractors. So there's a lot playing on there, but a conversation worth having. Probably, I guess, an executive session, we should schedule it.
Probably need exec, because that's not being our buses, even though there's going to be a lot of things we're going to need to work through.
Agreed.
And cost, that's probably, I mean, cost, you can't put a cost of safety, but there's a lot of things we're going to have to work through there. Because that was a great suggestion, I hadn't thought of that. So, also, to that point, you hate that situation, but Christiana Middle handled it beautifully, and so did our team here. So, thank you to our team for that. That was the reason we put those in place, and so they handled it great.
They did exactly what they were supposed to. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up in general discussion? Yes, Ms. Darby.
Go ahead, I didn't see your hand.
I just wanted to say a big thank you to the schools and staff that spoiled us last week. it never fails, and it kind of leaves me speechless because it's very overwhelming, but it is very, very kind, and so thank you to all of you for spoiling us last week.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
Mr. Vaught?
Ditto. If you noticed, I had my Eagleville cap and my Seagull shirt and my Central jacket on tonight. I didn't want to forsake my alma mater, Oakland, but we'll catch that the next time. But as Katie said, yes, thank you so much. It's very overwhelming, for them to spoil us. Also, too, TSB, we had a Zoom meeting Friday. Because the legislature was closed all last week, they were anticipating a frenzy of bills being filed yesterday and today, so maybe I'll have a little bit better handle Thursday night. Probably not, but in a couple of weeks we'll know where we're going to settle out as far as legislation is concerned and what we need to be aware of or be planning for. So I'll try to update y'all then.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else? I, too, would like to thank all of our schools for the beautiful bounty that you all gave to us every year. It was tasty, it was warm, it was everything. So y'all hit it out of the park, and we just can't thank you enough. And I'm proud to serve up here, but it's really nice to be thought of. Anything else? Okay. We're adjourned.